God, the movie is so much better than the book. Why was I reading that again? Wait a minute. Reading? That's right. Homestuck! By my calculations, it's time to read Act 3, so grab yourself a tab and let's get going. So we open with a message from Nana. It's written in the old Colonel Sassacre's daunting text from the study safe. I'll go over the whole thing since it's fairly important. Dear John, you are no doubt reading this as a handsome and strapping young man. Why, the man-grit needed to lift the book itself is a sign of your maturity. Not even to speak of the wisdom needed to grasp the nuance of Sassacre's time-tested mischief. I am so proud of you, grandson. How I wish I could have delivered this heirloom to you in the flesh. But I'm afraid it wasn't in the cards. For you see, John, like you, this book must yet take a journey. Its journey will end on the final day of my life, and even then will continue some. Though I suppose that'll be up to your father. Perhaps he will discuss it with you one day, when he and you are ready. But it is your journey I'm writing about to wish you luck. There will come a day when you will be thrust into another world, and once you arrive, that is only the beginning. You will soon delve even deeper into a realm of warring royalty in a timeless expanse. A realm of agents and exiles and consorts and colonel sprites, of toiling underlings and slumbering denizens. A realm where four will gather, the heir of breath and seer of light, the knight of time and witch of space. And together, they will ascend. John, if only you knew how important you were. I regret my passing came so early in your life. And yet, I feel in my heart we have already met. But what I know for sure is that we will meet again. Until then, John, I do hope your father keeps you well fed. With love, Nana. P.S. Ho ho ho. I like this passage, since once again Nana is slowly peeling back the mysteries with even more questions. At this point, we can gleam over some of what she's talking about. It doesn't take a genius to realize that the four kids we've been following are the heir, seer, knight, and witch that she describes. The real conundrum is how Nana managed to know all this before she died. But that will be answered in time, in the most Homestuck-esque way possible. Speaking of the four kids, we have one more to introduce. Well, one more as far as you know. Anyway, she's asleep. Consequently, she can't get upset over the terrible name we've given her, which is Farm Stink Buttlass. The reader tries to do the arm gag, but Hussie's not having that shit today. Hey, there's that pumpkin again. Well, yeah. Fortunately, Farm Stink had the foresight to write a little note saying that's not her name. How did she know that the reader was going to name her that? Well, anyway, her name's actually Jade Harley. And of course, since she's the fourth main character, Hussie used the fifth name suggestion. What the fuck? So here we have Jade, who's currently residing in her garden atrium. She immediately starts playing the flute, which she has no skill with. This is demonstrated with a little flash game where you mash the keys to make her play random notes. You may recognize these flute noises from one of Hussie's TNG edits. So we have Captain Becquerel to thank for this wonderful music. Like me in life, Jade gives up. You might notice little strings on her fingers. Well, those are reminders to help her keep track of certain things. More on them later. Jade wants to captchalogue the flute, but she needs to set her fetch modus. Unlike the three other kids whose fetch modi were based on data structures, Jade has a variety of fetch modi based on board games. You see, Jade is the pattern-breaking kid. That's also why she was asleep and not in her bedroom during her introduction. Anyway, she chooses the memory modus, which splits the item into two cards and shuffles the deck. You have to match both cards to retrieve the item. Simple stuff. Jade is then commanded to squeal like a piglet and fertilize some plants. Oh, that's so dumb, right? But then she actually does it! Oh, what a broken pattern! Oh! Then she captchalogues the fertilizer. Jade consults her colorful reminders. Now, I like the narration on this page. Looking at your index finger reminds you that there is something important to remember now. It is your friend John's birthday. The green string reminds you that John's birthday package will arrive today. The blue string also reminds you that John's birthday package will arrive today, though in a way that means something slightly different. What do they mean by this? Jade keeps mysteriously losing the pumpkins that she grows, so she attempts to captchalogue one to keep it safe. While she's taking stuff, she also obtains a crabapple, a key lime, a mandarin orange, which is her favorite fruit by the way, and a eureka lemon. I don't know why they have faces either. Anyway, they all get distributed to the deck. And yeah, the pumpkin's gone. She leaves the garden to return to her room. Now, she could use the stairs, but she uses her transportalizer instead. Hey, can you tell that Jade lives a fantastical life yet? Here's her bedroom. She has so many interests that her introduction is split into 2 whole pages. Ain't that fucking wacky? First off, and let's get this out of the way, she's a furry. Or, as the comic puts it, she has a profound zeal for the marvelous and fantastical fauna of an anthropomorphological persuasion. She also likes an old cartoon called Squiddles, which Rose also used to watch. Rose's shirt symbol is actually a squiddle that she defaced. Apparently, she thought it sucked. To be fair, it probably did. I wonder if Jade and Rose ever discussed the show or argued about its quality. I think that would be a nice aspect of their friendship. A common interest, or in the case of Rose, disinterest, of their childhoods. The comic never alludes to that, but I think it would make sense. So, Jade is a nuclear physicist somehow. She's also a gardener, as you saw earlier. She's narcoleptic, and she often has precognitive prognostication. Thanks for teaching me yet another weird word, Hussie. She's a skilled markswoman, though she'd never hurt any animal. Because she's a furry! Her grandpa taught her everything she knows. He's a big game hunter slash explorer slash adventurer slash inventor. In fact, the window on Jade's table is borrowed from one of Grandpa's devices. Unfortunately, Jade couldn't get hers to work. Anyway, Grandpa spends all his time in the grand foyer. Jade will need to escape his lectures when she inevitably needs to leave the house. So, that's Jade. Hussie gave her a lot of weird interests in an attempt to make her a Mary Sue. But that plan doesn't make any sense. Jade quickly retrieves her firearms, putting her hunting rifle in her strife specibus. Now it's time to be introduced to her wardrobifier. If you've been attentive, you've been noticing that Jade's shirt symbol keeps changing. That's because the wardrobifier has been on the randomization setting. You know, this happens a lot, but I find it amazing how Homestuck just makes up a bunch of insane bullshit and you're just supposed to buy into it. Like, you just gotta believe that this machine can just magically change Jade's outfit like that. Jade contemplates her favorite shirt designs to set the machine to later. John's shirt seems to be in there too, but in blue. Now it's time for Jade to play with some toys designed for 4-year-olds. Her Squiddle dolls are drawn together via magnets and become Tangle Buddies. Jade takes them. Unfortunately, it's at this point that the reader becomes tired of this furry bullshit. They made it a whole 8 pages, but they had enough. Jade, lose interest in fauna and never speak of it again.
Oh, but you could never do that! What marvelous creatures they are! What a daring dream, to combine the finest qualities of humanity with the elegance and nobility of the animal kingdom. How you wish you could know their world. To hear one night those muted pop heads traipse up your stairs. A low but friendly growl unsettles your slumber, and as the soper seeps from your eyes they detect a sharp pair of ears cutting moonlight. A mysterious woven tongue invites. Wouldn't those ears suit you? Would not this proud long snout assist you in the hunt? No need to answer. Words slough from the busy mind like a useless dead membrane as a more visceral sapience takes over. Something simpler is in charge now. A force untouched by the concerns and burdens of the upright. That farcical yoke, the bipedal toe. It now drives you through the midnight brush, your paws whisking through creepers, unearthing with each bold stomp bright odors demanding investigation. But not for long, as you and your new friend must claim the night with piercing howls moonward. You eat a weird bug and don't even care.
So, Jade's interest in furry shit seems rather innocent. It's still bizarre though, but innocent. Jade then plays with a manthro chap. That's sort of a child-friendly humanimal. Actually, let's move on immediately. Jade forms a pile using her toys. Then she sets her wardrobifier to 3 specific symbols. These were voted on in a poll on the MSPA forums. That was another good way to get fans involved. So they picked the spirograph Atom and Sun. I like to think that the atom is Jade's actual symbol, but in Hussie's early concept sketches, it seems to be an upside-down version of the leaf. Hussie tried to erase this fact by erasing the symbol in a later upload of the sketch, but this uncropped version tells the truth. You can't trick me, Hussie. I'm onto you. Jade looks out the window at a nearby volcano. It's been inactive for centuries, but it provides geothermal power to the house. Of course, Jade thinks that's dumb since you could use nuclear energy. I mean, it worked for Doc Brown. Jade, retrieve fursuit from magic chest.
What is this nonsense about fursuits? You do not own a fursuit. You think anthropomorphic fauna are really cute and enchanting and all, but it has never occurred to you to dress as one. Sure, it is fun to imagine what it'd be like to run wild with a pack of wolves, or purr and frolic with a litter of kittens, but dressing up as an animal just seems ridiculous. It would still just be a silly girl draped in a raggedy synthetic tufty piece of crap. And seriously, who are you trying to kid with that sort of baloney?
Okay, so once again, Jade's not one of those weirdo furries. I guess. Anyway, this isn't a magic chest, but a gadget chest. It used to be in Oracle's trunk, so it contains fortune-telling knickknacks in addition to cool gadgets. Jade's grandpa waves at her every time she opens the chest. So she's got Problem Sleuth, a crystal ball and pillow, tarot cards, a magic 8-ball, a magic cue ball, a lunchbox that houses her computer, a cookalizer, and a refrigificator. Or, a refrigerator. I know what you're thinking though. With all these fortune-telling devices and the fact that Jade can seemingly predict the future, she's gotta be the Seer of Light that Nana mentions. You would think that. Anyway, Jade examines the magic 8-ball. They are known to be unreliable. She asks something that she knows to be true, such as if it's John's birthday today. It replies, not exactly, which at first you think is some sort of meta joke, because this page came long after April 13th. But, well, never mind. Jade considers smashing the 8-ball, but fears the ominous consequences. Her magic cue ball, on the other hand, is said to make predictions with alarming precision and specificity. The only problem is that it lacks a portal on the surface that lets you read the prediction. Jade takes the cookalizer, fridge, and lunchbox. Her flute flies out though. She wants to feed Beck, her long alluded to dog, so she clears the table to prepare his meal. She needs the fridge and cookalizer. Since she always seems to predict where the right cards are in her memory modus, she lets the reader take a stab at it. The reader sucks so bad that they accidentally unleash every single fruit. Jade is beginning to regret breaking the fourth wall for this ill-advised escapade. Surely this is the last time that Jade's gonna break the fourth wall though. Anyway, since you sucked so bad, Jade deploys her gadgets herself and stores the fruit in the fridge. She dials up some steak from its rotary dial and lightly irradiates it in the cookalizer. He does prefer a steak rare after all, but you will not dignify the thought of turning the knob much further because you are not retarded. Oh yeah, this comic likes to say retarded a lot. Now, a lot of people find that offensive nowadays, but keep in mind this was written in 2009. That's just how the internet was. Now, there is a fan-made patch to the story that removes more of the offensive elements. However, I think that's fighting a losing battle when it comes to a story such as Homestuck. There's far worse in here than a few unkind words. Also, you're missing out on the late 2000s internet experience that Homestuck encapsulates. Plus, I can't say I like the idea of censoring someone else's creative work. But the option is there if you really want it. Jade capsulogs the steak and examines the eclectic bass near her bed. This is an instrument that she actually knows how to play. It has an advanced setting, though she lacks the amount of arms to play it. If only there was a way to quickly retrieve those. She plays a hauntingly relaxing bass line, which is a piece called Gardener by Robert J. Lake. At the end of the song, we zoom out of Jade's house, and we can see it's the Frog Temple Island, confirming once and for all that's where Jade lives. A plane flying overhead lets out a blue package for delivery. Meanwhile, Jade takes the bass in its amp, and then jumps into the plush pile to get to work on her computer. I think this is the start of the running gag where characters form piles of things to lie down in. Although I guess Dave being in the Smuppet pile might count if you're being pedantic. It's probably the strangest running gag in that I don't really know why Hussie finds piles of things that funny. Nonetheless, here it is. Jade opens her lunchtop, and wow, this sure is fancy. John's computer is like Windows XP, Rose's is like a Mac, Dave's is like Vista, and Jade's is whatever space age wonder this is. Among her programs are Pester Chum, the Echidna browser, and Fresh Jams. She opens Pester Chum and... Could it be? Oh my god, it is! We did it, Reddit! We made it to the only part of Homestuck that matters! There they are! The trolls! Holy shit! Well, not so fast. We have some more boring shit to attend to, such as our main characters and the actual plot. Whatever. Jade tries to get in contact with John, but he's currently preoccupied with doing dumb shit during Act 1. Dave left her a message though. The relevant bit of this conversation is Dave wondering if Jade is asleep and doesn't know it, but he is confused how that works. What is he talking about, you may wonder? Well, anyway, let's see. There's another no-no word, Dave talking about yiffing and other inane nonsense. Dave also sent Jade a music remix. It's of Explore. Jade opens Fresh Jams, and here's something that I consider to be a very underrated aspect of the comic. The kids are all musicians, and they collaborate on music together. You might recognize a couple of these tunes. Showtime and Aggrieve are right there at the top. And of course, we're currently listening to that Explore remix. However, you probably shouldn't recognize Crystal Anthemums just yet. We'll see that remixed a little bit later. The rest of the music on this playlist is okay, but I want to say that I really like Oh God What. Now this is a fun tune. Anyway, I think this adds a whole new layer to the kids' relationship, and the fact that they're actually the ones in universe to compose this music is pretty cool. Unfortunately, after this part, the kids' musical abilities are mostly forgotten about. There is a part near the end where it's important, but that's about it. I think that's a real shame. So Jade gets tired of music and wants to stroke Hussie's ego a bit. She logs on to MSPA. GT, boggle vacantly at these shenanigans. It begins to dawn on you that everything you just did may have been a colossal waste of time. Okay, so the Midnight Crew comic is on an intermission, and so there's a really shitty version of Homestuck running instead. There's a lot I could say about this page. In fact, this might be the only page anyone should ever read in Homestuck. And, well, I guess we'll get back to this one later. End intermission. Oh, thank God, this was a short part of the review. I guess it's time for Midnight Crew Act 1031. Surprisingly, that number's not 413. It's just a number for Halloween. That makes sense though, since this flash was released on November 2nd. So this animation reintroduces us to the Midnight Crew. But more importantly, also their rival gang, the Felt. In addition, Team Sleuth makes a cameo, though it's just a reused panel from a donation command. Oh Jade, why are you on Fur Affinity? Well, let's check out that page she's on. Oh no, Vampire Princess 007 deleted everything. I guess the shame of being in Homestuck was too much. Anyway, Jade talks to Dave in another conversation that we've seen before. It's kind of neat, shifting perspectives to see what the other person was doing on the other side of the Pester log. These sporadic shifts in the timeline can make things confusing though. But I guess you can just pretend that it's pulp fiction. With that in mind, I can guarantee you at least one conversation about burgers is coming up. So look forward to that. Speaking of Dave, we jump forward back to his perspective. It's time for a strife with his bro. Unlike in John's and Rose's fights, he is no match for his super fast brother. Also, this flash gave us yet another iconic Homestuck track, Beatdown by Kurt Blakesley. Back to Jade, it's time for her to talk to Rose. You better get excited! Rose is having some concerns about today. Apparently, Jade has been telling her that they would all play Spurb, even though she didn't know what that was. But at this point, John and Dave are busy, and Jade doesn't even have a copy. Rose even brings up her connectivity issues. Jade reassures her though, saying that today is definitely the day. We as the readers know this to be true. Jade promises that Rose will have all her questions answered, but they will be ones she hasn't thought to ask yet. I think the audience has found themselves in a similar situation. Jade then bees the other girl, which is a takeoff of a dumb command from Jailbreak. We're Rose again, facing imminent danger from a fire. Fortunately, the mausoleum's secret passage has been revealed. Rose takes Jasper's and descends. Now, this is a pretty cool looking panel, I gotta say. It's very striking. Sadly, Jade stops being the other girl, so we can't appreciate the art for now. Jade fails to get a hold of John again, so she packs up her computer and heads downstairs. She takes a gander at her reminders and dwells on them. Incidentally, in the future, John's getting his ass kicked by ogres. Luckily, Nana's there to help revive him. Even more in the future, we see PM next to a Spurb station. One of its sentry worms eats one of her mailboxes. She retaliates with a black sword. The next page shifts to Rose's game fact guide. John wrote this entry, and it's about punch card alchemy. He explains that the caps log cards have a code that represent the item, and that code can be represented with punch cards. You can overlap two cards to perform a bitwise AND, or you can double punch two codes onto one card to perform a bitwise OR. Both will allow you to combine items in different ways. I think this is the only time that John's shitty programming skills come in handy. The most interesting thing to me is John explaining that there's only 48 bits available in this process, which results in about 300 trillion possible codes. Now that sounds big, but it's supposed to account for not only every conceivable item in the universe, but also every combination of every item. So obviously, some codes when combined will have the possibility of creating something completely unrelated, due to hash collisions. This all of course is some more computer science bullshit. Anyway, John signs the post with some shitty ghost ASCII art, and then we cut to a Skynet sign. It's Rose in some sort of lab. Next to her is a kiosk monitoring a large hub grid in the pattern of a chessboard. And just like that, we're back to Jade. Sorry, Rose. This is the Jade Act, I suppose. She's hanging out with her grandpa's big game trophies. She hates them, but I find them to be the funniest things that Hussie ever pulled from Google Images. Jade can't get to the bottom floor using the transportalizer, since something's blocking it there. She has to descend the last few rooms manually. The room below has a collection of knights in a strange orange glow. Below that are mummies in a pink glow. Further down are Grandpa's blue beauties, kept in a room with a light blue glow. You see, Grandpa has a blue woman fetish, so he collects photos of women that were stuck in the windows of beauty parlors for 20 years. The sun fades the picture's ink, with blue fading the least. Hussie actually explains that in the commentary, in case you didn't know why photos fade to blue. Jade was encouraged to look up to these women as sort of sisters. This is a very weird comic. The ground level just has a hideous monster. That's what was blocking the transportalizer. Jade hates this beast. But forget all that. Jade's getting a message, even though she thought she logged off of Pesterchum. Oh my god. It's Cat! Oh yeah, that's right, I'm not supposed to know who he is yet. But we did it! We made Troll first contact! It's carcinogeneticist saying, "Hi again, idiot!" Jade responds by saying, "Oh no!" She actually says that phrase quite a lot. CG continues with, "So I guess today is finally the day you fuck everything up. Is there nothing I can do to change your mind?" He then acts like a smug asshole, so Jade blocks him. Ah, damn it, we were so close. The trolls were right there! Speaking of which, the comic has just begun its gradual shift in focus. Hussie at this point had come up with another grand idea, presumably getting bored with writing just a straightforward spurb session. We now know that the kids are gonna fuck up somehow. The ramifications of that are yet unknown to the reader. But this detour, you could say, would ultimately make the comic balloon in size and scope, even more than how it already was. The trolls, of course, would play their part in due time. But for now, it's gonna be business as usual. Returning to Rose, she checks the kiosk to see that hub number 413 has been unlocked. Rose, go to the center and do Goofy Dance. I really love the stupid things that these characters are commanded to do. There's a transportalizer, which Rose obviously doesn't know anything about, so she sadly does not dance on it. She attempts to plug her laptop into a nearby hub, but since it was in the root card, all her Silidux atoms spill out. Jasper's transportalizes, but Rose thinks she's vaporized him. Rose switches her fetch modes to pick leaves instead of the root, and turns off auto balance. She regathers everything and ventures over to the unlocked hub. This thing provides power and an internet connection, so it's perfect. Rose plugs her laptop in. Interestingly, they can still be connected together in her Silodex. On the wall is an ominous countdown to the lab's unestablishment. Rose better skedaddle. Speaking of countdowns, PM has entered the Spurb station after beheading the sentry worm. It's time for the building to go home. Dave continues his fight with Bro, and gets thrown down the stairs. So it's time to reference Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff. Rose is aggravated by her telepathic connection to this meme. Instead of indulging in that tomfoolery, she examines the lab's primary session terminal, which monitors various Spurb sessions and keeps track of meteor impacts. According to the monitor, there's a meteor coming for the lab very soon, and then there will be one coming for her house before too long. There's also an extreme bit of foreshadowing on one of the monitors here. I'll let you figure it out though. Zooming out, Rose can see a bigger meteor heading for a city in Texas, and lastly a truly gigantic meteor heading for the Pacific Ocean. Yep, those sure are the meteors heading for Dave and Jade. The kids had believed until now that activating the Cruxtruder summoned the meteors, but they actually come regardless. The Cruxtruder just gives a warning. Rose reconnects with John. He's busy fighting some shale ogres. He succeeds with Rose's and Nana's help. He high-fives Nana because he's left her hanging long enough. It's time for John to ascend to Boy Skylark on his Etch-a-Ladder. Personally, I'm a fan of the cool Buckaroo rank though. Now John's swimming in Boondollars too. His Grist cash limit has also expanded, and he gathers up all the pieces that the ogres dropped. Unfortunately, one of the shale Grists landed in a hole in the roof. Nana makes sure that John doesn't leave his old copy of Colonel Sassacre's behind, and she encourages him to read it, in particular the first couple pages. Here, John asks a really good question. If his goal is to reach the first gate, then why can't Nana just toss him there? Well, she reiterates that there's a very good reason to build up to there, and then to continue building. She elaborates further. When you pass through the first gate, everything will change. You will find the place where the constellations dance beneath the clouds, and then your true work may begin. John suddenly understands everything. Elsewhere we find a place, where a kingdom lies entrenched beyond an impenetrable veil of darkness. Dad is on the loose, and the imps aren't having a good time. Someone is watching Dad and John from a set of giant electrical windows. Graveyard stuffers. We are now the Peregrine mendicant. Wow, blue-balled again. PM checks a letter in one of her mailboxes. It's addressed to Dr. David Brenner, which is a reference to an MSPA forums meme. The users there made up a fake story that was said to be Hussie's actual masterpiece, called Dr. Brenner Ghost Psychiatrist. It even has a whole TV tropes page. However, since I wasn't into MSPA back then, I kinda just find this meme to be, dumb. Luckily, 0% of all new readers even understand that this is referencing something. PM is commanded to open the letter, but she is too dedicated of a mailwoman to open up someone's property like that. She puts on her cap and launches into the spiel about the postal service. Liberty, reason, justice, civility, edification, perfection, mail. Yes, this is continuing the civil servant theme started by WB. PM examines the station's terminal and types view. Look, it's Jade! PM recognizes her too. Now this is my favorite setup in the comic. PM says greetings, and then asks, "Don't I know you?" We see Jade with her gun, standing in some sort of small crater. She's surrounded by green energy, and shakes her head in surprise. PM's terminal starts arcing electricity, and then explodes. Uh-oh, the Skynet lab is going to be unestablished soon. Rose is busy though. She's uncovered what appears to be a little girl's bedroom in the facility for some reason. She takes a scarf on the ground in order to be the writer, but a small mutant kitten peeks out from a tea set. It's certainly cute, but it also has 4 eyes. John wants to take that shell grist, but doing so would make him enter his dad's room. Since he's never been in there, he's afraid of the hideous harlequins that could be lurking within. Despite that, he jumps down. For some reason, Dad has a shrine dedicated to Jade. Wait, no, that's just another perspective shift. Jade scampers into the grand foyer and runs into some globes. She readies her gun in preparation for a confrontation with her grandpa. He appears with a fire behind him, which lets the narration reference Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff. There's a comic where Hella Jeff has a ticket to the big game, leaving Sweet Bro jealous. At the game, the big man has the rock. He alley-oops for the slam dunk while Hella Jeff watches. So on this page, the old man has the flame. At the time, people thought that was Grandpa's name. Like, his name was Hass and he had the title The Flame. Therefore, I'm starting to think that Homestuck fans don't know how to read. Jade attempts to avoid him by leaping forward, but she falls asleep in midair. The comic then suggests to see what Dave is up to. The next Strife page loads, but we get a preloader psych out. Yeah, this is something that makes no sense without Flash. It's Jade's turn to Strife. You make her fight by hitting random keys on the keyboard, similar to her flute. The music here is called Dissension by David Coe. So the epic twist is that Grandpa is actually dead, and is a taxidermized body on display. I wonder if Chuck Testa did him.
Or if anyone even remembers who Chuck Testa is.
Nope.
Jade imagines that he still lectures her though. But since Hussie did such a terrible job conveying that he was dead, the next page outright states that he was much easier to deal with when he was alive. Now, unlike Grandpa, PM actually isn't dead. Some of her mailboxes fly out of the gaping hole in the station, but a sentry worm rescues one. PM and the worms have made peace. Back to Rose, she's picked up the cute mutant kitten. Oh, never mind, she puts it down immediately to check out this arcade cabinet looking science thing. It's actually controls for an purifier. The device is locked to Jasper's, in the past from 9 years ago. Rose zooms out and sees her younger self in a play therapy session. Rose attempts to create a time paradox by swiping Jasper's, but all she gets is some paradox slime. Unlike WV's attempts at purifying something from earlier, or rather later, here there's a machine to suck up the goo and start gene sequencing it. I guess paradox slime has the DNA of whatever subject you failed to swipe. Frankly, I don't understand that, but I guess I'm not an ectobiologist. Jasper's is cloned, but his clone suffers horrible mutations. This is a very relevant section for a lot of things later, but let's move on back to the past. On the monitor, Jasper's is about to tell Rose his secret. Immediately after, he disappears. He was purified, but not by Rose. He went missing for several weeks, and the purifier is unable to track him during that time. When he reappeared, he was dead and washed up on a river shore. Rose fast forwards to the present. This is a neat little Flash animation, though it's not too terribly exciting. It's set to Chorale for Jaspers by Michael Guy Bowman. Here we see Jasper's funeral, the decay of time itself, and we catch up to now. It looks like Jasper's is fine. Well, he's still dead, but to Rose's surprise, she didn't disintegrate his body. She purifies him. I should also mention this hidden part linked in that flash where Rose rides Maplehoof. It has literally zero relevance to anything, but it's fun? Oh fuck, she needs to get out of there in 10 seconds. If only she didn't waste a minute watching events she already experienced. She escapalizes out of there. It's Jade time once again. She has to feed her dog Becquerel. Unfortunately, Jade has trouble finding him, since her precognition seems to exclude him. Jade, look behind you! Damn. She instead decides to pick up John's birthday present to her. It arrived months late, but from Jade's point of view, it's right on time. It's over by the lagoon's ruins. John lands in his dad's room. He is flabbergasted that Dad is not actually all that into Harlequins and is just a normal businessman. He has a mental breakdown to the tune of Revel Awesome by Malcolm Brown. Most shocking twist yet. Who's this douchebag? I really don't get how John thought his dad was some sort of street performer, but the illusion has been shattered nonetheless. So what's with all this clown shit in the house then, you might be wondering? Well, Dad... Actually, let's see what he's up to. Oh, he's still kicking ass, and breaking out of jail repeatedly. I guess the jailbreak protagonist could learn a thing or two from him. Fuck you, imp! His actions don't go unnoticed though. He's being watched by... well, what's his name? Could it be Spade Slick like this random guy typing on a keyboard seems to think it is? As it turns out, no! Okay, the keyboard guy commands not Spade Slick to state his name and rank. What, we're seeing the comic's commands being physically typed now? Okay. Anyway, this guy's name is Jack Noir, the arch-agent of the Dark Kingdom. He watches the kingdom through his fenestrated walls, of which he has 3. Unfortunately for him, his 4th wall was stolen long ago. Jack has left his ridiculous hat on the ground because he hates the kingdom's new dress code. Everyone has to dress up as a Harlequin due to John prototyping his kernel spray with one. As you might remember, the NPCs of Spurb gain the properties of the things that players prototype, but only before the kernel hatches and sends the data to the 2 kingdoms. That's why Jack's not dressed up as John's Nana, since she was prototyped after John arrived in the medium. Jack calls in a minion to deal with Dad. It's another Midnight Crew-esque guy, but I guess we can assume that's not actually Heart's boxcars. We interrupt this program to bring you courage. I mean the Queen of the Dark Kingdom. She forces Jack to put on his hat. What a bitch. Oh no, Dad's beating up not Heart's boxcars. Oh well. John finds some unopened presents in Dad's room. He opens one and it's a Fetch Modus control deck. It comes with some capsulog cards and a free Fetch Modus. This one is based on arrays. John now has way too many cards. However, with Array, he can use any arbitrary card, like a normal inventory system. But he thinks that's boring and immediately tries to make it more complicated. Popping his stack and queue modi into the control deck allows him to use his inventory like a stack and a queue, letting him retrieve either the top or bottom card. John adds in the Array modus, after blowing the dust out of the cartridge first. Wait, I thought they were cards. Oh, never mind. Now he has an array of 4 queue stacks. Finally, more complications. John, unwrap the smallest present first. What the fuck do you mean? He already unwrapped the control deck. This story makes no sense. Regardless, John has a policy of saving the biggest present for last. The smallest is a box of fruit gushers. I really love that John is excited about that. It's like he's 3 instead of 13. The biggest box has a dapper suit. This is our first costume change. Now that's something to get excited about. John, fill up an entire queue stack with shoes. Okay, awesome. Queue stack full of shoes. I love completely inane pages like this one. Capsulogging a bunch of shoes in no way helps John accomplish anything, but it gives the comic a chaotic sort of energy that I like. Oh wait, John fucks it up immediately by putting the gushers in his shoe queue stack. Wait a minute. Queue stack? Queue sack? I think I just might have solved Homestuck. After that, he takes a closer look at the gushers box. He plans to play Willy Wonka and alchemize a bunch of candy, but something catches his eye. Oh fuck, it turns out that Betty Crocker manufactures gushers. The heinous batter which has her gnarled claws and everything. What do gushers have to do with baked goods anyway? How does this make sense? Why? Why? John has another breakdown, this time to the tune of Harlequin by Mark Hadley. He quickly realizes that this is stupid though. I'll be honest, I also didn't know that Betty Crocker manufactured gushers until this part of the story. Neither did Hussie. It's just a massive coincidence that he made Betty Crocker John's arch nemesis and gushers his favorite snack. You can't write something this stupid on purpose. I remember finding this revelation just as shocking as John did. In high school, I told the people I ate lunch with that Betty Crocker made gushers. And then every time they bought some gushers from the snack counter, they'd be like, Betty Crocker. Fucking assholes. Jade goes to retrieve the package, but Becquerel suddenly appears. He crackles with energy and seems to phase in and out of existence. This is Jade's actual strife page, with her actual guardian. I bet you didn't think that was a dog.
Oh, my patterns. They're broken.
You make Jade shoot Beck, but the bullet melts when it touches him. You keep trying, but Beck bends reality every single time. Eventually, we're taken on a trip through the whole galaxy itself. If I were Alex Yeek, I'd be wondering what the hell is going on. Well, it's just the most extreme form of fetch imaginable. Jade swipes the package and finally feeds Beck. Good dog, best friend. This little ditty is Carefree Victory by Andrew Ho and Toby Fox. Anyway, Jade as usual falls asleep. Beck brings her back home and tucks her in. Rose checks for any mixed atoms with the kitten from her transporter experience. They both seem to be separate still. Rose is in what she thought was her mom's room, but is actually a bar. She decides not to have a mental breakdown about it though. I guess now you can put 2 and 2 together and realize that mom sleeps in that really childish bedroom in the lab. You wouldn't expect a classy lady like Rose's mom to have the taste of a little girl, but trust me, it all makes sense. That also means that mom was trying to clone Jasper's but failed. Also, it seems like mom works for Skynet, who as you know developed Spurb, which means she knows exactly what's happening. Could it be that she started drinking to deal with the fact that she would help bring about the end of the world? Maybe I should write a sappy blog about this theory. Well, there goes the lab. Oh fuck, the explosion reached the house. Rose needs to escape the room considering it's full of alcohol. Meanwhile, John punched some cards, so it's time to start alchemizing. Oh wait, no, it's time for Jade to dream. Her dream bot activates. It's linked up with her bed, so it mirrors her dream self's movements in reality. Jade, obliquely foreshadow future through interpretive dance. Your silly dance foreshadows nothing, and is essentially meaningless. But it sure is a lot of fun. Jade can fly in her dreams, of course. She takes a look at John's package, which I promise you is not an innuendo. The present is somehow mirrored in her dream. Unfortunately, you cannot open it yet. This package has an important journey to make first. You are planning on delivering it momentarily. Good thing you already know what's inside. Otherwise, you would surely be consumed by curiosity and suspense. You sincerely pity anyone who might be forced to endure such a fate. Wow, what an asshole story this is. Luckily for me, I already know what's inside it. Eagle-eyed readers might notice that it says from GT there. Since it's to Gigi, it's clearly using the kid's Pesterchum handle initials. But as you know, John's initials are EB, not GT. And if you remember from earlier, the shitty Midnight Crew intermission also called John GT. So what the heck is going on? Well, let's have a flashback. Here it is, December 2008. A simpler time. Now, there's something off about this page, but we'll get back to that shortly. Instead, I'll point out Jade's, Dave's, and Rose's birthdays on John's calendar there. They're December 1st, 3rd, and 4th, respectively. Wow, I wonder why Hussie picked those numbers. Here we see John conversing with Jade, using the name Ghosty Trickster. He just mailed her birthday present, and hopes it helps with the problems she's been having. Unfortunately, he forgot that it takes a while for mail to reach Jade. She doesn't mind though, stating, "I'm sure it'll get to me exactly when it needs to, and it'll be a nice surprise when it does." Jade of course knows exactly when she'll get it, but she's not lying when she says she'll be surprised. They then move on to talking about the trolls, who have been harassing them. John theorizes that they're all one guy using alt accounts. Jade doesn't think so, and she's counted 12 of them. Apparently the trolling has been going on for years. John's had enough, so he decides to change his username in an attempt to throw them off. Okay, now things make sense. Back in the present, John prepares his totems. As he keeps coming back to his bedroom, he cringes at the graffiti done to his movie posters. He blames the imps. Rose gets back to her computer and names her new cat Vodka Mutini, or Muty for short. She messages John. He complains about the imp's graffiti, but Rose lays down a bombshell. The posters have been that way the entire time. Going back a few pages, we can see that they were indeed defaced in December. John starts freaking out about this. Okay, we're back to Wayward Vagabond now. I almost forgot about him. He tries to descend from his building, but there's not enough cable in the station to get down safely. He also refuses to sacrifice his sash. He notices something on one of the tower ruins though. It's some cable attached to a harpoon. Pretty convenient. Serenity can't carry it though, as the narration points out that she can't lift more than the weight of a pumpkin seed. You know, I always thought that would be foreshadowing something. Like Serenity would have to carry a pumpkin seed for some reason. Maybe to grow a pumpkin somewhere? I don't know. WV purifies it instead. Or rather, he purifies John's package since he accidentally had the purifier set to the kid's time frame. Jade of course planned for this and left some instructions for him. WV resets the purifier date and gets the cable. He rappels down. Unfortunately, he's being watched. Someone in the temple ruins is spying on him. The spy also notices PM's station coming into land. Meet the aimless renegade. Back to the kids, John still can't believe that it wasn't the imps that destroyed his posters. But Rose has proof. She pulls up the screenshots that she took for her game fact from earlier. The graffiti, sure enough, is there. Rose didn't mention it before because she had no idea that John couldn't see it. Evidently, John defaced his posters and then repressed all memory of it. His conscious mind therefore refused to acknowledge it. However, John entered his dad's room, and his worldview was shattered. Since Dad doesn't actually like clowns, John can now see the truth. Dad merely saw the graffiti on John's walls, and thought that he was into them. Dad therefore decorated the whole house with them in an attempt to bond with John. This always struck me as a rather strange turn of events, but then again a lot of Homestuck developments are strange. Back to Jade. In her dreams, she is the star, it's her. She dreams up some extra arms to play an advanced bass solo. It's the beginning of something really excellent. No really, that's the tune, composed by the one and only Robert J. Lake. Her robot imitates her dream self. And so we have a zoom out of Jade's dreamland, the planet and moon of Prospit. And there's Skya. Holy shit guys, it's all starting to come together now. Kind of. And hey look, there's the 4 towers. So this is the Kingdom of Light. Makes sense that it's near Skya and the battlefield. Though once again, I had zero pattern recognition when I first read this. My initial experience with Homestuck was almost like watching a David Lynch film. Well, maybe not that surreal. Anyway, now the question is how Jade is dreaming in the game. Well, no matter. She sets her dream wardrobifier to cycle through Star Heart Horseshoe. You better have remembered the sequence Star Heart Horseshoe. Wait, fuck, Jade ruined it because she left the moon in. Jade, I know you have problems, Sooth. Did you even read it? Anyway, she explores Prospit's moon, with her robot continuing to mirror her every move. Jade meets PM. Oh fuck, that's another thing that's chronologically confusing. Though there's a cool as hell transition from Jade looking at PM on Prospit's moon, to her Dreambot looking at the island's lagoon, to that same location years in the future, where PM is also present. I think that really says something about, something. Anyway, WV has to deliver his package to PM. Give present hooray. Apparently the freedom of WV's people depends on it. I'm not sure if that's actually right now that I think about it, but sure. I like that Jade drew directions with the next arrow in any case. There's almost a standoff, in which PM tries to draw her sword. The aimless renegade tries to get them both though. He's too aimless however. Behind cover, WV delivers the cargo. Aw, look at that cute drawing. If only the real PM had eyelashes. Then I'd know she was a girl. Speaking of girls, here's Jade. She's snooping on her neighbor, who's a boy, who's also John. He's having some bad dreams. You may notice the plush doll and graffiti on the walls, which also matches the graffiti in John's actual room. The information established in this panel might be some of the most significant in all of Homestuck actually. Though you would definitely not know it yet. Anyway, Jade decides not to wake him. For you see, he will wake when he is ready. Jade wonders if she ever sent John's birthday present. Yes, but it's currently at the bottom of a cliff. Or rather it will be, since from Jade's perspective, John's still stuck in Act 1. Here's a pretty looking page. The moon is about to eclipse Skya, so Jade decides to return to her tower, as it's a bad idea to be outside during such an event. Let's whiplash back to John. It's time for the first instance of a cherished holiday that the whole Homestuck fanbase loved, Gristness. You see, around Christmas time, Hussie would have one of the kids go on an alchemization binge. They'd get a bunch of new toys to play with, so to speak. So, firstly, it's John's turn. What's he gonna make? Well, that was up to the fans, actually. On the forums, Hussie hosted a giant pool of things that John could use to alchemize. Though this page wasn't so broken at the time, I can assure you. So yeah, more fan-driven nonsense. But enough about that. Anyway, John first recombines the Ghost Pogo and Hammer, but this time he double punches one card instead of overlapping two. This makes a Hammer Pogo instead of a Pogo Hammer. It looks like a piece of shit though. Much better is the combination of his ghost shirt and suit. But he doesn't stop there, he also throws in his Wise Guy book to make a dapper looking Wise Guy slime suit. Another costume change, we're truly cooking now. Next, John combines Dad's PDA with his glasses to make the serious business goggles. You know, I suddenly remember Google Glass. Anyway, John then combines his Sledgehammer, Telescope, and Sasser book to make the telescopic Sassa Crusher. It's too big to lift though. Maybe John should go to the gym. Next, he actually makes that candy like he was planning earlier. Gushers and Nana's ectoplasm creates hellacious blue phlegm aneurysm flavored gushers. It's disgusting, but it has healing properties. Now, using a fake arm, ectoplasm, and the PDA, John makes a remote-controlled ghost gauntlet. This lets him lift the Sassa Crusher. Adding in a mirror makes one for his other arm. Which, you know, is that really how that fucking works? You add in a mirror to mirror the object? It doesn't just turn it glass or something? Whatever, it kind of makes sense, I suppose. Alright, here's the umbrella and razor combined to make Barber's best friend. It suddenly seems worthwhile to you to go nab that umbrella-kind strife specibus that's been lying in the study for a while. Yeah, he doesn't do that. This might be the most useless object ever made in the story, although that's going to be a contentious race as we'll see later. Gushers and shaving cream creates a deadly Betty Crocker Barbasol bomb. John wants to make something with his Ghost Dad poster, but it's unfortunately ruined with graffiti. But he has a genius idea to use a Heath Ledger figure to mathematically determine what punched holes correspond with the Harlequinness to remove that stupid clown shit from the poster. With the Ledger code only resulting in 2 holes, the poster either has one of those 2 holes punched or neither, resulting in 3 possibilities. Through experimentation, John makes a potted plant, the painting of a horse attacking a football player, and the original poster. And so, by combining Ghost Dad with his computer, John creates the Cosby Top. Oh my fucking god. If you want to know the funniest page in Homestuck, well, you're looking at it. Bill Cosby is the perfect father. We all know this. Whereas Bing Crosby, though quite fatherly on screen, was actually a total deuce to his real kids. I didn't know this till way after I put him in HS. I wonder if Dad would have a dramatic breakdown if he learned that. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about this. Hussie sure did nail his analysis of those 2 gentlemen perfectly. Anyway, combining one of Dad's hats in John's Problem Sleuth game makes another hat but with 4 pieces of candy corn. Trying to combine the game with a hammer results in this ridiculously expensive item, with grist types yet unknown to John. The biggest crime in the comics is that we never actually find out what this would make. Hussie's commentary suggests a sepulchitude-themed hammer. You might be thinking it would make the Warhammer of Zillihu, but no. And we'll circle back to that later. Finally, John combines the Pogo Hammer and a clothes iron to make the Wrinkle Fucker. Which, well, is obviously the best weapon in the comic. Okay, actually, no, but it's certainly the funniest. So here's all his shit. So much sweet loot. You'd almost think it was simultaneously your birthday and Christmas or something. Of course you know that is ridiculous and could never conceivably happen. Haha, that's so funny! Anyway, at long last, Dave finishes his strife. We haven't seen much of Dave, have we? Well, here's the final round. Who will win? Oh shit, bro cut Dave's sword and his shirt symbol in half. Cal gets destroyed in the crossfire too. Bro leaves him his Spurb copies and takes off. Now, broken swords will be a theme for Dave from here on out. I think it's some stupid symbolic shit about Dave's character or something else Hussie made up. I don't know. But that broken record is a little bit more significant. Especially since Bro is the one who broke it. Actually, if you remember, the outcome of this fight was foreshadowed near the end of Act 2, so I guess Dave's loss isn't too surprising. TG, Bro just kicked my ass. That's really all there is to say on the matter. Yeah, Dave's from Texas. What do you want from me? Oh, thank God it's time for Jade. We almost went 5 whole minutes without her. The moon has started its eclipse. Jade's sending her messages, and we've actually seen all these upcoming conversations. Anyway, the clouds of Skya show past, present, and future events. There's the explosion that Jade alluded to. Bet you didn't think she was actually asleep when she sent that message, huh? Hey, John's sleepwalking. Remember this from before? He almost wakes up, but unfortunately, he wakes up instead. This is what prompted Jade to hint that he needs to wake up, which she meant not literally, but kind of literally. I love this comic. I understand this shit perfectly. Jade updates her reminders. You see, she's not actually psychic. It's just that during her dreams, she sees the visions in the clouds of Skya. Only when she wakes up does she start to make sense of it all, and she uses her reminders to keep track of things. The most important bit of info gleaned from that dream was about Becquerel. He has never appeared in one of Jade's dreams until now. But we see that he arrived on Earth from the meteor that carried the Frog Temple. So he's very, very old. About 413 million years old to be exact. But today is also his birthday, much like John. Now, Beck has never let Jade enter the temple ruins, but the dream has suggested to Jade to head there. Since Beck's now napping, she decides to take the opportunity to visit. She takes her harpoon gun and launches the projectile at one of the ruined satellite structures. She ziplines down. Meanwhile, Rose finishes building up John's house to the first gate. Dave mourns Cal for some reason. Trust me, just let that fucker die. Dave's specimen has been updated to half-blade kind. He really can't use anything but half swords from now on. He tries to get the beta copies, but he's still lugging a bunch of shit in his Sylladex. Hussie was planning on implementing a hash rap battle between Dave and Bro, where these items would have been useful, but that would have been too much effort. So the narration just makes fun of that idea instead. Dave ejects everything, but makes sure to catch his phone. Smooth. Now he implements Scrabble rules for the Modus. He grabs the beta and messages Rose to get ready for him to connect to her. Rose is a little busy gazing out on hell on earth. She considers capslogging her gift to John and sending him the code, but alas, it's not finished yet. She included a sentimental heirloom, and she's been working on it for months. That's right, it's time for another flashback. I like this transition from flames to snow. It's like that movie, Elemental. Wait, no. Anyway, John has sent a gift to Rose. Included is yarn, needles, and a letter. Let's read it. Dear Rose, happy birthday. Thanks for being such a great friend all these years. I know you like to make it out like you're playing it cool and don't care much about the people in your life, but I know deep down you really do. Hell, not even that deep down. It's like your subconscious is having a wet t-shirt contest, and you being all aloof is this totally soggy shirt doing no good at all, hiding nothing. Oh wait, it looks like two can play this game of cracking all these highfalutin psychology books. Aw snap! But yeah, I got you this because I think you're really creative and you can make something nice with it if you put your mind to it. And it might help you take your mind off a lot of the serious business you're always absorbed in. You know, all this weirdo pseudo-gothy stuff or whatever. Frankly, it's kind of depressing. Anyway, you're the best, Rose. Have a rad 13th. I will catch up to you guys soon. God, you're all so old. Ghosty Trickster, John. So, John is the one who encouraged Rose to knit in the first place. I think it's really wonderful how supportive these guys are of each other. Homestuck is rather cynical most of the time, so these moments of sincerity are greatly appreciated. Oh fuck, it's Wait, sorry, it's Grim Auxiliatrix. This is their first conversation. Actually, it's their first conversation from Rose's perspective. Or rather, yes, this is their first conversation. Never mind. So here we have GA complaining that humans don't understand temporal mechanics. You see, the trolls have talked to the kids in their future, but the trolls aren't from the future. The trolls can merely just reach the kids at any point of their timeline. Simple, really. Well, this is another thing that'll make sense later. You know, I feel like I say that a lot. Anyway, GA suggests becoming friends, and Rose sarcastically accepts. But the joke's on Rose, really. GA will be your friend, believe me. But anyway, let's shift over to Dave. It's currently still the past, and it's raining at Dave's place. John's present to Dave has arrived here too. We see that Dave's wearing triangle shades like Bro does. But let's read John's letter. Dear Dave, happy birthday. I just wanted to take a break from telling you how much your gay butt stinks all the time and say what an awesome friend you are. Seriously, on any other day I would be downplaying how you really aren't as cool as you think you are. But just between you and me, I think you might actually be that cool. I think you just gotta get out of your bro's shadow and spread your wings, dude. So I got you these. They're totally authentic. They actually touched Ben Stiller's weird, sort of gaunt face at some point. I'm sure you'll dig them because I know you lolled hard at that movie. Okay, so for real, this is sort of a shitty present. But it is an ironic present because I know you wouldn't have it any other way. Maybe you can wear them ironically sometime. They might even be more ironic than you and your bro's dumb pointy anime shades. Anyway, have a good one, buddy, and stay busy being totally sweet. Ghosty Trickster, John. As was alluded to earlier in the story, John was the one who got Dave his sunglasses. But the real question is, if Hussie has one of the Con Air bunnies, who has the actual Stiller shades from Starsky and Hutch? The answer, of course, is me. I'm wearing them right now. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this letter of authenticity. Anyway, Dave also gets interrupted by a troll. Unfortunately, it's Adios Toreador. All you really need to know about this conversation is that Dave counter-trolls him by going full Dave on him. I really can't do it justice. AT ends up blocking him. You are now the aimless renegade. The narration says you have spent your entire ammo clip without recording a single kill shot. AR, realize that your weapon is magazine fed, not clip fed. You don't give a shit about that. Based. Honestly, based. Behind AR are some hieroglyphics. It shows some amphibians and reptiles. However, this is illegal pictography. It makes you angry. AR goes to get some more ammo, which Grandpa had stockpiled in the ruins. AR quickly retrieves sidearms. Then he goes for a rocket launcher. He wants to blow up WV and PM for intruding on the investigation of this illegal monument. As you can tell, AR's civil servant theme is the law. The law is all that's left to hold on to in this unforgiving dust bowl. You cannot afford to loosen your black claw's grip lest justice slip through your fingers. Law is beauty. Order is peace. Judgment is the very basis for all that is pure and... Order in the court! You will have order in this courtroom! If everyone does not settle down, you will clear out this courtroom, you swear to God! Now there's this moving platform jostling up and down. It's supposed to be an elevator, but it's jammed by Jade's eclectic bass. Damn, I guess she's going to / already lost that thing. Speaking of her, she puts down John's present for WV to purify. There it goes! Then she snaps the harpoon cable for WV to use later. That's one temporal setup complete. Let's see the rest of the payoff. PM reads the letter, but is confused because the drawing of where to go is slightly inaccurate. Oh no, AR missed again! This time he... Oh wait, he missed again. Well, that solves the inaccurate drawing problem. WV causes a diversion. The can ruse was a distraction. Another Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff reference. I'm glad Hussie always links these comics so future readers know exactly what the fuck the joke is. The distraction works, and PM arrives at the Syndicator in her building. There's a set of coordinates and further instructions. Liberty, reason, justice, civility, edification, perfection. Male. Years in the past. Damn, Grandpa, that's a little overkill, don't you think? It is young Jade's birthday. Grandpa's decided to introduce her to the thrill of the hunt. But she and Beck wander off. There's John's present. Inside is John's blue ghost slime shirt, which is shamelessly advertising Hussie's Topatico store. Speaking of which, if you ever wanted to know the lore on that ghost, they also sold this poster that Jade has in her bedroom. It reveals that the ghost is some sort of Japanese knockoff of Slimer. I am not frightened for any of the ghost. Anyway, also included in the package are some pumpkin seeds and of course a letter. Dear Jade, happy birthday. It's hard to thank you enough for your friendship over the years. Heck, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't even have met Rose and Dave. So that is like 3 times the friendship. That is almost like too much friendship. Haha. I only wish I could get you something for your birthday that could remotely make up for what you've given me. But of course, that's impossible. So here are a couple silly things anyway. I went to a weird Asian store the other day and saw this rad shirt. So I got it and I'm wearing it now. But there was also a blue one too, which was way more awesome. And I wanted you to have it. I know you like green a lot, but maybe you'd like to try wearing blue sometimes. I bet you'd look like $1 million. Also, I know you've been frustrated lately about how your pumpkins keep disappearing. Well, I can't begin to explain why that's happening. All I can do is give you these so you can plant some more. Don't give up, Jade. Wherever those dumb old pumpkins went off to, I'm sure you know the fun is growing them and taking care of them until they're ready. Whew, gotta head out to the post office now so this doesn't get to you too late. Talk to you soon. Ghosty Trickster, John. Young Jade is of course confused because she doesn't know who John, Rose, or Dave are. However, there's a lot to read into here. Once again, John is actually the inspiration for one of his friend's hobbies. We also finally understand why John and Jade wear each other's colors. Remember, John's associated color is blue, but he wears a shirt with a green symbol. Jade's associated color is green, but she wears shirts with blue symbols. John is simply such a good friend that he's willing to sacrifice wearing his favorite color in order for Jade to have the shirt instead. I think that's just really nice. Plus, remember when gift compression turned John's shirt blue? Could that have been foreshadowing this very moment? Well, probably not, but I like to think so anyway. Finally, John only met Dave and Rose because of Jade. Since John gave his old username in the letter, Jade presumably knew where to look for him later. So this present is actually what started their entire friend group in the first place. And let's appreciate the delicious irony of John lamenting that the present would arrive late, when it actually arrived years early, but still on Jade's birthday. Truly it did get to Jade exactly when it needed to, and was a nice surprise. Wop! Wow, what a stupid fucking page. What even is this? You bear the vicious brunt of the story transition directly in the face. You were getting really tired of this feisty man and his busy fists. Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. Jack, kill John's dad yourself. Here, stick this in your pipe and bleed to death slowly. Dad instead burns Jack's hat. No, he murders it. Holy shit, dude. You release the prisoner. He is free to go. To reach the temple, Jade summons some lily pads with her music. Ribbit. Oh, now that's a fucking cool shot. Anyway, Dave installs the game. And now, ladies and gentlemen, is the best flash yet. I give you S, enter. I don't think you guys know just how much I love this flash. It's great. Okay, it's starting. Here we see Rose getting ready to connect with Dave. Now it's time for the return of my favorite installation screen, and the full version of Suburban Jungle by Michael Guy Bowman. Aw man, look at those non-mirrored reflections. No matter, it's time for some sliding panels. And I gotta say, I really enjoy this kind of cinematography. This shit's so cool, man, it's like, my god. I mean, did you see that transition? Well, there's more where that came from. Man, I could watch this all day. Okay, it's Jade time. She's entering the temple. That's enough of Jade. Here, Dave is entering the art zone. Okay, that one's a bit of a stretch. But man, just look at all these panels flying in and out. It's all pretty crazy. So, Jade has found a flower of some kind. But can't worry about that now, Spurb has finished installing. And that, of course, means meteors. Though I'm sure Rose's house will be fine. She seems to have some issues with her server player, though. I mean, the man's gotta make some space and fast. I mean, he has to put all this Fernalia somewhere. Okay, so the flower is part of a device that has a countdown clock, much like the Cruxtruder. Well, it seems like Rose is still upset at Dave for his completely logical placement of all her Spurb gear. Yeah, this is fine. Hell yes, get the Zazerpan out. Gotta open that Cruxtruder. Ooh, that's how he lost his hand. Remember that from WV Ascend? Oh, for fuck's sake, Jade. Now it's time for Rose to make her entry item. But more importantly, it's time to resolve years of grief and resurrect her dead cat. Ah, thank goodness a slow section. It's hard to keep up with this thing. Regardless, I really like those raindrops there. Things are approaching one another, which I guess is the point of those shots. Yeah, I think Rose might need that bottle. Meanwhile, there's Nana. She's writing the letter that we saw at the beginning of the act. Holy shit! How is that chronologically possible? Now hold on. Take a look at this shot, it's fucking beautiful! That's an art style called Hero Mode, which we'll see more of later. Okay, now things are falling, I guess that's the idea. So coming up next is one of my absolute favorite moments in all of Homestuck. Rose has taken a deadly leap of faith, all while the Sassacre book falls to the land below. Rose of course gets rescued, and judging by that huge smile on her face, you can tell it's by Jaspers. What a wholesome reunion. Oh look, the flower has sprouted something. Now it's time for some more absolute cinematography. As Rose prepares to break the bottle, we cut to other events happening right now, but then we also see a flash forward to future Earth happening in reverse. This is borderline experimental. Anyway, she breaks the bottle and enters the game. Oh, what's gonna... Dave's copies?! Oh, okay, I guess it's time for John, I suppose. He simply just kicks ass with all his new gear. The imps don't stand a chance now. Remember when he had trouble with one? Well, he has his work cut out for him. Oh yeah, get the ogre with the Sassa Crusher. Oh yeah. Man, that's some multitasking. Or maybe he's just that fast. I mean, his color is blue. Oh wait, no, it is multitasking. Well shit, there goes the funniest joke in Homestuck. But forget that, John finally enters his first gate. So there you have it, S-Enter. It's the quintessential Homestuck flash. It's a high-octane, fast-paced thrill ride set to some great music. It has both surprising developments and well-deserved payoffs. To top it all off, it has creative visuals that keep you pumped up the entire time. 10 out of 10. Of course, we have a few more pages left. They show a zoom out from John's house to reveal he was on a whole planet the entire time. And that revelation ends Act 3. Holy shit. So that's Act 3. While Act 2 was a drastic improvement over Act 1, I'd say that Act 3 is only a tiny bit better than Act 2. It's sort of the middle child of early Homestuck. The mysteries keep on piling up, and we still don't really know what's happening yet. Act 3 was definitely Jade's time to shine. I always thought she was the most underutilized of the 4 main kids. She certainly will be later on. So I appreciate her focus here. Looking at the art, the panels are definitely getting a bit more complex. There are more colors than just the black and white that dominated Act 1. The flash pages are also way better now. While Hussie always drew under his skill level, the flash pages always reflected his current ability at the time of creating them. This is one case where we get to watch his skills improve over the course of the story. You know, it's an old adage, but practice makes perfect. It's fitting though. As the art and writing grows in complexity, so does the animation. In terms of my Simpsons analogy, Act 3 would be like Season 3. The story is finally in the groove, but the best parts are yet to come. Act 3 saw the release of Music Volumes 2 and 3. They were published back-to-back on December 14th and December 15th, 2009. Why in God's name they weren't just one album, I don't know. Like Volume 1, they comprise of music we've already heard from the comic. I know that sounds obvious, but just wait. However, what's more interesting is that Hussie had his first big Q&A session on November 25th, 2009. These would take several forms over the coming years, but for this first one, he posted it on his Blogspot blog. It's titled Interrogative Remarks followed by statements that involve various forms of punctuation. These Q&As are very illuminating on Hussie's creative process. They're one of the many resources I like to use to figure out what he was thinking while making Homestuck. It would take another half an hour to actually read all his responses, so I'll just give you the highlights. Have you ever gotten ideas from the forum, but not the suggestion box? Yes, and in fact it's safe to say I get most ideas from the forum community at this point. At least more of the major story-changing ideas come from there, while the suggestion box plays the role of driving the page-by-page action. One example I can think of is when people were trying to guess what Jade's grandfather's interest would be. People often try to make guesses about this sort of thing, because I tend to establish a lot of patterns, like each guardian having a kooky collection, each kid having a certain primary weapon and instrument, each kid potentially corresponding to a future desert dweller, and so on. I then either adhere to the pattern, or disregard it, almost arbitrarily. This keeps readers on their toes. But in this case, people guessed quite a number of things, including knights, mummies, and game trophies. I ran with those 3, plus a pretty strange wildcard interest on top of those to mix it up. Do you have any idea when you plan to wrap up Homestuck? Or are you going to let it go until it reaches its natural conclusion? Originally I thought it would run for a year, like PS did, from 4/13/09 to 4/13/10. Do you know how Homestuck's going to end? And what do you think the next adventure might be? I definitely don't. And I'm not even sure if there will be next adventure. Well, that's sort of a half-truth. In a later Q&A, someone mentions that Hussie once stated he had a distinct ending in mind early on. Hussie corroborates that by saying the ending he had in mind hadn't changed much. Even later when he actually posted the ending, he said he had specific visual shots in mind for it before the comic even started. So this is a bit contradictory. What I believe is that he definitely knew how Spurb ended, because how could he not? However, the story itself was made up along the way, so it makes sense that he wouldn't know specifically how it would all come together. And with the power of hindsight, yeah, there's no way Hussie could have known during Act 3 the particularities of the ending. But maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves here. The nature of this site's output is very fluid. The execution of the content is quite different from what it was even 1 year ago, though still stylistically similar. Exactly 1 year divides this update and this update. If I was showed the latter example 1 year ago, and was told to produce stuff like that in any sustainable way, I probably would have said that sounded kinda crazy. But that was before the self-imposed gauntlet of working with Flash and figuring out more efficient animation strategies. but watching the site evolve to support that type of content has me thinking it will just keep evolving. The broadest purpose of the site is to serve as sort of an accelerator for my abilities as a creator. At least in retrospect, that is the purpose it served. By the time I'm ready to move on to a new adventure, the footing may have shifted so much it may not even be an adventure as we know it. Regardless, I'm sure there will be something to follow, and I'll keep producing content. Unless I decide to be a douche and just up and quit. We'll see. Did you ever compensate for the age jump from 10 to 13 after the failed beta? Or do you still kind of think of all the characters as 10? To answer, not at all. The age never mattered. There's a tradition in cartooning of ignoring the age of a child when considering his/her demeanor and degree of sophistication. See Calvin and Hobbes. Cartoon kids will act according to their age when it feels relevant. Other times, they won't. Maybe the biggest difference in the hop in age is the very slightly added plausibility to speculation on any romantic angle between them. This is very important for fans who aspire to, and are busy even now, slip-slashing these characters into oblivion. I have done the world this service. Do you intend to introduce a whole bunch of characters like in PS? And if it's not too specific, will the troll slums become significant? I'm sure there'll be plenty more characters when all is said and done. I've got ideas for what to do with the trolls, but as with everything, these plans remain vague until proven specific. You make a lot of story and update decisions on the fly. Are there any you've regretted? No. The stakes just aren't high enough for regret to be a factor. The flow of the story is always kept loose and pretty light. Once I've committed something to canon, it becomes a feature of reality. It doesn't need to be judged, only built upon. I can see if you were a creator and you were laying down some serious shit, like a really brooding vampire story, or a romance novel or something. The author may operate with a sense of anxiety that mistakes can be made. I will probably never create anything like that. How do you deal with the inability to go back and change details from earlier in the story? Do you ever have good ideas that you have to scrap because of something that happened earlier on? This question is related to the one above. It's a non-issue. Once it's cemented in the story, that's it. I am never disappointed in not getting to use a good idea due to conflict with the facts. First, because ideas that conflict with the facts never actually occur to me. Second, because ideas are a dime a dozen. I have too many as it is. Well, that's enough of that crap. If you excuse me, I got some more Cage Kino to watch. Ah, National Treasure. Now that's a franchise. It's like Indiana Jones, but it doesn't make you want to die by the end.
Oh, wait a minute.
Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Okay, for this outro, I've decided to speed read all of Homestuck within the 20 seconds allotted. It's going to be very challenging, but I'm sure I can do it. You might be thinking to yourself, isn't the comic absurdly long? Yes, but that's what makes this a challenge. So let's get started before I run out of time. Alright. A young man stands